Hello. To answer the question that a lot of people have asked me before we got started this evening, the only question that anyone asked me actually before we got started, 18 minutes is possibly 19 now that I felt the need to start this way. When I was asked if I would join the Bethel Executive Committee in line to become president here, I, of course, immediately said absolutely not. Andrea, my wife, was even more adamant than me about saying no. As I shared last year at Kol Nidre, I love Bethel. I love community. I love this community. I love how Bethel expresses itself into community with all of its imperfect Meshuggah chaos and calm unity of community. But I shared last year that I didn't feel like I knew that much about synagogues or Judaism compared to you learned folk out here. What would be my platform? But then I got to thinking about a real issue, and I bet some of you can relate. Just about every time that I go leave this shul and get 5 steps down the sidewalk on my way to my car, I then remember that I still have my yarmulke on that I had taken from the yarmulke bin outside. That's the yarmulke bin that, at the request of Rabbi Sager of blessed memory, master craftsman Steve Herman made as his very first woodworking project for Bethel. And at that point, I have a choice. I go all the way back inside to put the yarmulke into the yarmulke bin, or I violate the 8th commandment about not stealing again. And so what do? I bet some of you have a car or a house full of hot kippot that you surreptitiously absconded with too, right? So I got a big brain idea. What if we had a outdoor kippot keeper out there? That would solve that problem and make Bethel a better place. So now I had a platform. Andrea doesn't laugh at my humor nearly as often or heartily as you all do, but she thought that was just delightful. And for that and other real reasons, our ardent no turned into a hesitant yes, and here I am, Hineni, here we all are again for our communal holy days of awe. I have, of course, learned more about synagogues during my years on the board, and it turns out there's a lot more to it than catching kippot. There's operations and finances, staffing and human resources, policies and procedures. There's interfaith connections and education, ritual and special events, security and addressing anti-Semitism. There's service and services, social action and socializing, facilitating fun and fundraising. And that very incomplete list of 18 things is about 18 things too many for any one person to handle alone. So thank God for our amazing and wonderful rabbis, our extraordinarily hardworking ED Ed, for our larger than ever staff supporting our amazing lay leaders and our growing but still rather intimate community. There's some amazing congregants who are so easygoing, so long as things go their one particular way. And there are equally amazing congregants who are just great, so long as things go the opposite way. Now, I fear that part about community leadership might be annoying or even painful for me, but I kind of love that part. I find it fascinating, endearing even, that good people, or how good people with real wisdom, sharing and coming from many of the same common values, sometimes from the same member household, can have such opposite points of view. There's really simple things, like how some people think wearing name tags on Shabbat is super important for building community. And some people think that wearing name tags on Shabbat is bad because it stops us from going up to each other and asking each other's names. It's a delightful difference in opinion. You can be pro or anti name tag and still belong in this tent just fine. And so this part is corny, but Ginsberg's love corn. For these, I need some water. For these days of awe, let us reframe the word opposite into AWEPOSIT, awe-posit, a position or a different from yours that invokes awe. Or even better, AHHHPAUSEIT, posit, as a nudge to pause the polarization of opposites into a moment of awe. And rather than ego on ego, interact from and to each other's divine spark. Our rabbis reminded us last week that we each have a divine spark that is impossible to snuff out, but that is only partial. A person as God is idolatrous, but all of us together, we join our pieces of divinity with other people's pieces to more fully remember the one whole peacefulness of God. We're all fractions, God is whole, Shema. This is dramatically bad. One Monday morning in my email inbox recently, my husband and I love the Kiddush meals. The diversity of food is extraordinary. Hats off to Ed, Dory, and Team Bethel. And a separate email 5 minutes later from the same email, except for the first initial was different. Don't tell my wife, but why can't we just have bagels and cream cheese and leave it at that? Pause it. Like, I love the idea of bagels and name tags being the big thing that divides us. Alas, there are bigger things. From my point of view, some of you lead beautifully with primary concern for the other, that we as Jews work for justice for all people who are made in the image of God. While some of you lead beautifully with primary concern for the Jewish people, for addressing, combating, or at least surviving the raging millennia-old virus of anti-Semitism. But we all share common values. And we have to have both lenses of universalism and Jewish particularism. There surely are parts of your life outside the sanctuary where you need to get in line, take a stand, and fight. But in this house of God, immersing ourselves in an unlike-minded, supportive community where we get to benefit from the unpredictable positive outcomes that come from spending time with each other in the same space at the same time, that is as necessary as it has ever been. And during these times that are darker than most of us have experienced before, we've had a really good year here in our little shtetl at Bethel Synagogue on Watt Street in Durham, NC. We didn't just survive, we thrived during Rabbi Graber's well-earned sabbatical. Rabbi Posner didn't just fill in as a sabbatical rabbi. She said Hineni and became our rabbi. We had joyfully robust service participation Shabbat after meaningful Shabbat. Our Talmud Torah grew significantly in reputation and 50% in size. We hired a new programming professional, welcome Madeline. We had our own mitzvah day, thank you, Ed. We surpassed our annual fund goals. We had calendars packed full of educational, spiritual, and social events, and we do even more so this year with an eye toward cross-pollinating different parts of the community. As a big fun example, in February 2026, the Mob and Sisterhood will be co-producing a congregation-wide prom that you're all invited to, and because I announced it, they can't back out and not have it happen. Since last October, we welcomed 44 new member households. We had each other in our homes for Shabbat meals through our Share a Shabbat initiative. We celebrated, grieved, discussed, and prayed differently together. In other words, in 14 months since it was published, we've made strong progress executing on our strategic plan, intending to our vision and mission as a thriving, engaged, intergenerational Jewish community where we l'adore v'adore through many doors. Now what? There's an infinite amount still to do. There's course corrections to make, new things to try, operations to shore up. One part of the strategic plan asks us to define the tent of who we are, which for better or for worse, we are constantly doing by all that we say and don't say and do and don't do. And by we, I do mean rabbis and staff and board, but I also, and kind of more, mean we, by all of us. We're a lot of things for a lot of people, but we can't be everything for everyone. So who does and doesn't fit in our big but necessarily finitely sized tent, where at any given Shabbat, we frankly welcome a wide range of thought leadership right up here on our bima. We are proudly the Hamish Traditional Conservative Orthodox Reconstructionist Egalitarian Shul in the Triangle. I'm not sure if that helps define the tent or not. Perhaps more relevant than any tent-defining words is your agency in seeing yourself in our tent. Please don't require that you see yourself reflected in every corner, crevice, committee, communication, speech, or sermon. You won't. You can't. That would be a silo, not a sanctuary, a cult, not a culture, an echo chamber, not a community. But I bet you can see yourself reflected or cause yourself to be reflected in some parts of our tent. And indeed, this may be the defining characteristic of our tent. You fit snugly under our tent when you engage with, show up for, sit shomrim with, eat, pray, schmooze, discuss, volunteer, befriend other people who fit snugly under our tent in different ways than you do. Our positions fitting together like jigsaw puzzle pieces of Shema. And so, rather than further defining our tent, I offer up 10 ways to walk under our tent. I offer the tent commandments. 1, thou shalt lidor vador. If you're in charge of anything at Bethel, a chair of a committee or event, please make sure there are written playbooks for future leaders and find and mentor and learn from your successor, so that next May or the May after that, or at least at some annual meeting within the next generation or so, they take over. Have the joy of replacing yourself with somebody who is better than you. Succession planning is core for lidor vadoring. 2, thou shalt stay informed. Take the time to really read through our bulletins and emails so that 3, thou shalt engage, however that looks for you. 4, thou shalt argue for the sake of heaven. An argument for the sake of heaven is a Jewish debate that aims to deepen community understanding rather than to individually win. Let's do that together. On Sunday, November 16th, we will host a crucial, courageous community conversation about our tent. Maybe we'll argue, but we'll do it for the sake of heaven, speaking heart to heart, even when not seeing eye to eye. 5, with a tip of the yarmulke to the Rosh Hashanah sermons last week, thou shalt exercise muscles of hope and gratitude. 6, I don't have a 6 or a 7. Thou shalt write your own 10 commandments and share them. 8, thou shalt not steal, but kippot don't count as stealing. 9, thou shalt express your divine spark into community. Rabbinical staff and board leadership is important for stability and direction at any shul. And I am so proud of what we are doing here. But so much of what is the secret sauce of Bethel is you having an idea and making it happen. It's Gary and Beth Berman and their annual What's Not to Like Yiddish concert, November 2nd, right here. It's Talia Mazur reimagining our Purim Carnival. It's a group of you connecting us to the greater community through Durham Can. Others organizing our annual beach Shabbaton. For you 44 new member units, you have to come to the beach December 19th through 21st. It's another group of you creating Durhamish, First Fridays, the Chavar Minyan, the Orthodox Kehillah, the Men of Bethel, the world-famous performing artists, the Boychiks. It's Charlie Vanderhorst of blessed memory singing a song every year with little Mira Pickus. It's Judy Siegel handcrafting etrog liqueur each year from our Simchat Torah fruit. And Judy remembering 10th commandment number 1, maybe pass on your process to somebody else. Please don't worry if you don't know any of these people or references. Another speaker would list different people and things that I may not know anything about. There really is no particular inner circle to find and be in, but a big open heart of many rooms with many different doors. And this horizontal leadership culture works. To you youngins out there, Bethel is an extraordinarily successful outlier of conservative schools in medium-town USA during an era when many conservative schools are struggling. And it's yours to inherit, to co-create, to reimagine, and innovate. To you veterans out there, it is our responsibility to pass that down. What other ideas are swirling around that someone, you, needs to catch and make happen? It's Bob Gutman screaming from the mountaintop about needing a more robust endowment at Bethel, which leads to the 10th commandment. Thou shalt give for the future. Here we go. President's going to pass the money plate around, right? Not really. We don't do that here. Bethel's in good shape financially. We set and balance our budget each year. We take advantage of grants. We maintain contingency funds. The building will be paid off in a matter of months. But for a 140-year-old shul such as ours, our $1.5 million endowment is meager and makes us vulnerable. Gladys Siegel of blessed memory agreed. More than ever, I believe in the need for this unlike-minded community with so many different doorways to swing even more widely open. Imagine a future where we could freeze or lower dues, where access to our dreams are not constrained by financial limits or hard times or changing times. The recently completed endowment feasibility study administered by Moss and Ross Consulting shows good support for an endowment campaign to triple or even quadruple our current endowment, which would be great. Or we could blow the lid off mere feasibility and exponentially magnify the accessibility of Jewish life in the Triangle for the next century. There's other important missions out there needing your support. Please give it. The world is dark and needs your help. But if we don't provide for this house of God's long-term financial sustainability, who do we think will? I invite every one of you to make a personally meaningful commitment to engaging ever more deeply in this precious community, following some of these completely fabricated and hopefully not sacrilegious 10th commandments, and to gifting our endowment so that our story continues as the thriving, engaged, intergenerational Jewish community that we are. And one more thing. When you leave the shul tonight and you go 5 steps down and notice, like I will, that your yarmulke is still on your head, with huge thanks to the master craftsmanship of Steve Herman, there is now a new bin made out of our old pews outside on the sidewalk where you can return your yarmulke. It's Bethel's new Kippot Keeper. So it looks like my work here is about done. But the bigger work, the real work, the kind that only a community can do together, will always remain in our hands.